Time Worm by my partner Richard Shirk brings us into episode 82 of the LOTD Pod, the Left of the Dial podcast. Hello, Richard.
Hey, Sean. Thank you for playing that song. That's a cool song. That's one of the 14 singles from my newest album with Clairvoyance.
You say 14 singles, but there are actually like 336. Okay, yeah. There's one song that isn't worth the radio play, but
kind of a deep cut, yeah.
Yeah, it's your Revolution 9.
Oh, I wish, yeah. Yeah, I mean, my philosophy with making records is every song should be a single, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey.
I mean, that's a good philosophy to have if you have that going on.
It shows deep respect for the kind people who give their time and sometimes money to listen to your tunes.
Yeah. Episode 82
Episode 82.
We'll be featuring I don't want to say like comedy songs. These are not comedy songs.
No, don't say everybody just turned off the.
You're right.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that.
Well, can I just tell you like my thoughts when you pitch this to me?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this will make sense to you and our listeners. You mentioned like, light-hearted or like you just said the word comedy and my initial reaction was like, I don't listen to any stuff like that. Like I'm a very serious music listener. And then I got to thinking like, oh, well, I don't just sit around listening to like, I don't know, The National and even if I did, like there are elements of I want to expand more on that trigger word because I think that there are a lot of like moments of satire and absurdism and things like that that kind of get lumped into.
To be fair, I don't think I used the word comedy. I think what I said was
it's on tape.
Well, yeah, because I was saying what this isn't. Yeah. But when I pitched the idea to you, I think what I said was songs that make us laugh was the premise.
And I think that's such a good way to put it. And I'm not always good at language, but I think that's great. And it really made me look at a lot of the bands that I really love and yeah, I love Robyn Hitchcock and I love all sorts of bands that, it's not that they take themselves too seriously. I don't know quite how to phrase this the right way, but that not every subject of a song has to be like life or death. It can be about the day that you're having or something that you encountered, or we'll delve into that more as we get through.
Well, it can even be something deathly serious, but still be funny. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We haven't agreed on the title. I titled my playlist. It takes a lot to laugh. Paraphrasing Dylan, who we may or may not be talking about later on.
Dylan who? Right.
Dylan Thomas.
And my playlist is titled "And Hilarity Did Ensue," which is kind of misleading based on what I just said. Maybe, but both of these are public playlists. So if you're listening to this podcast, could you tell our listeners how to find our corresponding playlists?
These playlists are on our Spotify page. So if you search LOTD Pod or you search the titles that we just gave you for the list, you can find the list there. But our Spotify profile is LOTD Pod. So you can search that. You can find the podcast there as well as our page where we have our playlists. But yeah, I called mine It Takes a Lot to Laugh because it takes a lot for me to laugh. I don't. It doesn't come easy, or it don't come easy, to quote Ringo. These are things that do hit my funny bone. But your garden variety novelty songs, like your grandma got run over by a reindeer. Those sort of things. Those don't really
traumatic song.
Yeah, these are not. I can't speak for you. That's not a song that's on my playlist.
Same.
Okay, so we're of like mind. But yeah, I
Of
mean
course.
yeah.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. Before we talk the premise to death, should we just launch into it?
I think we should. I just want to say that it's been really fun putting this playlist together because it's not all fun and games out there. Um, and I do encourage all of our listeners to pay attention to the ongoing situation in India, and also to possibly open your wallets to organizations like Oxfam and UNICEF that are trying to do something about it. I don't really like to talk about my day job when I'm hanging out with Flick doing our rock and roll thing, but uh, the COVID situation in India is really dire. Things are breaking down. I lost one coworker 2 weeks ago, Jagan Rao, and might lose more. So it's not all fun and games out there, but for the next hour or so,
Sure. Yeah. I
it got
I
serious there. It was a
yeah.
very special episode of Left to the Dial Pod.
It's hard to go into funny songs after that, but I agree. I agree with your sentiment, and hope for a world where we we'll hopefully be cautious about the next possible pandemic, but have this one behind us hopefully at some point in the not too distant future.
Well, I like how you started off your playlist, Sean.
With Mr. Zimmerman.
Yeah, with Zimmy. Tell me about this tune.
Yeah, well, I there are a lot of Bob Dylan songs that could have made my list. But this is kind of the era, the Highway 61 and Blonde on Blonde era. I think is really where he was in the earlier stuff too. But I think this is kind of the peak of Dylan being funny. Being witty and really kind of out there in his imagery. Somewhat surreal. And the song that I decided to go with, it could have been, like Stuck Inside a Mobile with the Memphis Blues again was a strong candidate, and Highway 61, the song, a strong candidate, Tombstone Blues. I could go on. But from Highway 61 Revisited, I went with Just Like Tom Thumb's Blues. Just really like end to end. Just a very humorous scene, one humorous scene after the other that he's putting together here. That the imagery is just spot on. Um, the closing lyrics of the song, I started out on Burgundy, but soon hit the harder stuff. Everybody said they'd stand behind me when the game got rough, but the joke was on me. There was nobody there to bluff. Going back to New York City, I do believe I've had enough. Okay, so that's maybe not the funniest part to pull out of it, but as a whole, it's
I think
just
when
great
you
imagery.
when you're Dylan and you deliver it in
Yeah,
your Dylan kind of drawl,
yeah.
everything takes on like a certain amount of like satire.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I think that's a great point about. I think starting with Freewheelin', I think you have so many, or even like on another side of there's all sorts of just like absurd, playful things in Dylan's tunes, and I wouldn't say he ever like loses it, but yeah, this is like peak kind of pop art Bob Dylan, and I love Highway 61. And that's actually a tune that I included on my playlist is Highway 61 Revisited. Um, the the bit about like you know God said to Abraham, "Kill me his son." Yada yada. Abraham says no, and God says, "Next time you see me coming, you better run." It's such a funny song, and but also like it points out a lot of deeper things, and I think that's a thing about humor. Like humor has
Yeah.
some hard truths behind it. So
Yeah.
I don't know what he's trying to say with like leopard skin pillbox hat, but it's not on my playlist, so I don't have to worry about it this week.
Yeah, but yeah, he was using humor as a device to well, I mean, he's using surrealism as a device that and I think that that's really where the humor lies. But yeah, Highway 61 has just tons of imagery where, it's just like Highway 61 is this place where everything crazy that could possibly happen does.
And there's a slide whistle in
All right.
how can you go wrong?
Okay, so Highway 61 is your selection then, right?
Totes.
So we each kick it off with Dylan.
Well, I don't kick it off with Dylan, but so the
Oh,
disparity between Sean and I's playlist is that um, I've got some good jams in here, but we're going to talk about 8 songs, and I think which is the number that is on his playlist, and I think we'll have a lot of overlap. So whatever we don't get to, we don't need to talk about. You know, you can listen for yourself.
yeah. Yeah. Next person on my list is somebody else that I could have gone a lot of different directions. David Lowery, who is
He's your guy, yeah.
yeah, he's one of the people that I immediately think of. Like really goes a long way in inspiring this topic for me. And I don't know. I if you give me another day, I might pick a different song because there's the whole run of Camper Van Beethoven, which has a lot of great. Again, it's a lot to do with imagery. It's just kind of a bit of a absurdism to the imagery so plenty of stuff from the Camper Van Beethoven, and I'm sure a lot of people take the Skinheads Bowling comes to mind
Oh yeah,
immediately,
classic.
and the first Cracker album with Mr. Wrong and all of the great imagery there. Dr. Bernice from the first Cracker album, also a big contender for this playlist for me. I ended up going with Euro Trash Girl because it just kind of along the lines of what I was going for here. Yeah, and it's just a great all around song.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard this song for probably 20 years, and put on today. And yeah, it's super funny. And yeah, I remember yeah, it's cool to have a band that is on the same page about this stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's I don't know, it's something slightly different, like that's why this was a harder show to pitch. This is something slightly different than what you would think of when you think of, oh yeah, that's a funny song. It's maybe not the first one that comes to your mind, but for me, it really is.
Well, I guess the first band that came to my mind, and which leads off my list, is Magnetic Fields, who I know that I'm a bigger fan than you are, maybe.
Yeah, I've maybe someday. I I don't close the door. The door is still open. Door is ajar.
Yeah, well, with that in mind, I present to you Epitaph from My Heart, which is one of my favorite tunes from the sprawling 69 love songs by Stephen Merritt and friends in Magnetic Fields. And yeah, it's a funny song about, he's kind of making fun of um making fun of overly serious love songs in a way, but while also writing one. So,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, and I think that that's a theme throughout a lot of magnetic field stuff, and also just a killer tune. Uh, you know, anytime that mention the Brill Building and talk about your heart in the same way that you do Fire Alarm. I always admired that. And then to kind of balance that out and just go for like real absurdism, I wanted to bring in some Harry Nilsson after that.
And by the way, you'll notice that I featured both Stephen Merritt and Harry Nilsson on the cover art. So I mentioned that more for the purpose of Stephen Merritt. So, again, um, it's been a work in progress, getting me to come around to magnetic fields on throughout the course of this show, both you and Rudy on this.
I think
Maybe
it's a
it'll happen.
multi-decade effort, perhaps.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think
maybe
you're
it'll
going to
happen.
crack in like year 25.
It might take that long.
Yeah,
We'll see.
and Stephen Merritt isn't for everybody. Like, he's pretty droll, and that can be off-putting, and sarcastic, and that can be off-putting. If you watch the Stephen Merritt documentary, which I think was made by Gail O'Hara, hi Gail. Uh, it's a super film, and he even goes. You know how why I'm a bicyclist when I commute. And one thing that used to just like infuriate me is the people that go the wrong way in the bicycle lane on bicycles. And he totally does that. He's, kind of contrarian, but also knows that he's maybe smarter than most people, which can just, make you very punchable in some circles.
Yeah, I don't think that's the issue that I have with him though.
No, no.
No, but yeah, not having listened to it recently, I'll have to get back to you on that. It'll come up again. I guarantee you it'll
Oh, it
come up again.
will, of course, of course. And Nielsen, Coconut from Nielsen Schmielsen is such a weird song, and it's about nothing. It's about everything. But it's the kind of song that when you're goofing off with your buddies, you accidentally end up writing by accident, uh, and then you can't stop playing it. Yeah.
By the way, your description of Stephen Merritt though, that does kind of get to the point of what it is about Frank Zappa I don't like so much. So if you're waiting to find out if I have Frank Zappa on my list, that probably gave it away.
Yeah, I've never been a Frank Zappa guy, and I respect
Yeah.
him a lot, in terms of being a serious champion of difficult music,
Yeah.
and being
I,
like an independent guy and all
mhm.
that. But yeah, just I have like maybe like 6 Frank Zappa LPs, and I don't
Oh,
think I
well,
even
that's six more than me.
yeah, and I
Um,
never listened to him, so
yeah,
maybe I'll come around.
I kind of agree with you on things that he championed and certain things about him, but yeah, not so much a Frank Zappa music fan.
And
And I
his
understand that it's technically good. I get that.
yeah, yeah. His cameo in the Monkees film is pretty priceless too. Have you seen this film? It's called Head,
Yeah, I've seen Head.
and you remember the Frank Zappa cameo?
I don't remember it very well anymore. It's been a very long time.
It's right after one of the really big staged song and dance numbers. Monkeys come out of the soundstage. Frank Zappa's there, and Davy Jones asks, "Hey Frank, what did you think?" And he said, "I don't think I liked it because there is no soul in it, and you were more concentrated on like the dance moves and the cutesy lyrics than actually saying something. So it's like a really cutting, like accurate criticism of the Monkees in the film that they're starring in and have like total creative control over. So not only is that cool on, it's cool on like a bunch of different levels because it lets you know that the Monkees are in on how you feel about them and they want to like transcend that. But it's also just Frank Zappa giving you a little heat check there, as they say in sports, and telling it like it is.
Yeah, it does make me realize that it's been too long since I've seen Head. I'll have to
Yeah, well, yeah,
go back
yeah,
to that one.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, my next one. I think at this point maybe the humorous element is largely absent from the work of Beck. Early on in his career, it was almost all of it. All just about everything he did was kind of going for the funny bone.
I think he
Uh,
alternates, but yeah, keep going, please.
yeah, well, I mean, it's still present, but not like it was in the early days. Um, in the early days, it definitely dominated. I would say that the song that I most wanted to put on my list is called "In a Cold Ass Fashion." It was on a compilation album called Jabberjaw, and
Huh.
it is not on Spotify, so I did not include that on my list. But that is, to me, the funniest Beck song. I think probably the second funniest Beck song is "Beer Can" from Mellow Gold. Um, I definitely do want to pull some lyrics off of this one. The chorus lyrics are just great. Winos throwing frisbees at the sun, burnt my soul between the bun. Now I'm wounded, now I'm drunk, now I'm running like a flaming pig. Scraping off the attitude, old man eating all my food. Don't be kind, don't be rude. Just shake your booty, let it all get loose.
I love
Better,
that guy. Yeah,
yeah, better when he delivers it. But I think you get the point, though.
it's and even better is the Bob Dylan cover.
The Bob Dylan cover of Beer
Yeah, it'll happen someday.
someday so that cover when it happens will be amazing.
Yeah, man. I'm the future, the past, the present.
You know,
Time
so
is a circle.
you're talking theoretical, but what did literally happen was Johnny Cash did cover one of Beck's early songs, Rowboat, and there's a lot of that element in Rowboat too, and it's kind of funny to hear that just come through Johnny Cash.
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know,
Well, I mean, Johnny Cash is another guy. Boy Named Sue
yeah,
comes
yep.
to mind, but yeah, I love Beck. I hear what you're saying. Like
Uh,
albums like Sea Change and that
he-
last Grammy
yeah, he
one,
got yeah the country or
Morning
not country
Phase.
morning phase. Yeah, he got a lot more serious, or it has been a lot more serious.
Well, I think he's really good at compartmentalizing like
Yeah, yeah.
himself musically. So yeah, you have a serious album like Morning Phase, but then you have like his latest record, Colors, which has some just like kind of goofy tracks. Like the track
Mhm.
Wow is really dumb
Yeah,
and in a good way.
yeah, but not the same kind of. I'll go back to absurdism. It really does fit back. And by the way, Boy Named Sue, Shel Silverstein
Oh
wrote that
yeah,
one.
of
Yep.
course.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah. So back in beer can.
Yeah, don't give up on Beck. He's a good
Oh
one.
no,
Yeah.
never, never. Big fan.
Yeah, yeah. Right on, man. I knew
I,
you'd say
I
that.
I like. I'm not saying I don't like Sirius Beck. I do. I like it. I like Sirius Beck just fine. But it's just this certain part of Beck's career. I think there's maybe a closed door on that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go. Stay tuned.
Yeah, time will tell.
Time will tell. Speaking of bands that I was kind of certain we're never gonna play again because I was young and didn't know any better. Got to put a "Guided by Voices" tune on here.
I have
From
no
from
I
their
have
go
no
go ahead.
idea why you would ever feel that way about Guided by Voices, but you know, glad that maybe you've turned around on that.
Yeah, I just didn't. It's like, oh, they're breaking up. I guess they'll never get back together again.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about you personally. I thought you were saying that you would never play them again.
No, I still like. I used to love Guided by Voices, as you know, but I like them now. I think that you know every band that you start listening to as a teenager can kind of lose its magic sometimes, especially when you get to like meet the people and stuff. But yeah, some still like flat out brilliant tunes from Bob Pollard and his crew, especially now that Doug Gillard is back in the band. So one that I wanted to highlight is from what I think is their first album back after they were on hiatus, and it's called "Donut for a Snowman." And it's about Krispy Kreme donuts, and I guess the story is that Bob Pollard thought it was a compelling enough pop tune and argument for Krispy Kreme donuts that he submitted it to the Krispy Kreme Corporation to consider as their official theme song.
Yeah, well, in a perfect world, I mean, there aren't really Krispy Kreme commercials, but in a perfect world, maybe there would be Krispy Kreme commercials that had this song in them.
Right on. I'd like that to happen. And
It's like the one reason why I would want to see Krispy Kreme commercials.
yeah, I can't remember the last time I had a donut, but if you like them, then more power to you. I want you to be happy.
Yeah, and if for any reason you would find it surprising that Bob Pollard would write a funny song, then you've never seen the band live.
Right. Which yeah, that is true. Uh and I guess I kind of unconsciously, subconsciously, um anti-consciously paired Donut for a Snowman by Guided by Voices with the song Miami, which is a Randy Newman song, but this version is by Hamilton Leithauser from the band The Walkmen. I think I paired those two um, because I think that maybe in a more perfect world, this would be the theme song for Miami in like tourism commercials, kind of like in that
Hmm.
episode of The Golden Girls. And yeah, I got to drop some Golden Girls knowledge on you like that every once in a while.
Okay.
But yeah, the tune is just I don't I'm not even sure I've heard the original, which is bad, sportsmanship on my part. But the lyric about like um in Miami, best drugs in the world and they're free.
But
It's great. It's like a character portrait of like all the weird people that you're gonna see on the beach if you're Randy Newman in like the late 60s or early 70s and you're in Miami just like smoking dope.
maybe that is a topic for a future show. Covers we love of songs we've never heard.
Yeah, it'd be kind of slim pickings because I'm usually
Yeah, I
pretty
know.
good about my homework, but yeah,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, yes, and is
There
what I
there
mean to
isn't
say.
one that comes to mind for me, but maybe that's maybe there's something that I haven't even thought about though.
The
Maybe there's a song I love and I didn't even know it's a cover. Who
That's right.
knows?
The universe is infinite and it's expanding.
Yeah, but I'm better about knowing those things than that though.
Yeah, you're a very studious fellow. You put in your homework.
It's I don't call it work. I call it home fun.
This PSA has been sponsored
Yeah,
by
it's
school.
the more you know.
Learning is half the battle.
It's not homework, it's home
Home
fun.
fun. Ch-ch. What you
And
got next? What you got
and
next on your list?
speaking of home fun, Courtney Barnett,
Oh yeah, yeah. Right on.
definitely a go-to for me, one of my favorites. I don't know there really isn't anybody on my list that doesn't fall into that category. But going back to the beginning of her career, really, the song Avant Gardener. I mean, there's just a lot of Courtney Barnett songs. That's humor is always a big part of what she does, because she just has an unusual way of looking at things, and a way of uh, articulating things. Uh, very unique voice, and it's often very humorous. Um, so many great lyrics in this song. I think there is one that sticks out, but just barely, because they're all really great. But the paramedic thinks I'm clever because I play guitar. I think she's clever because she stops people dying. And
Wow, yeah.
not only is it funny, but it really gets to the relationship between the two there. And uh and I it's just very astute observation, and very humorous.
Yeah, and I like her so much, and yeah, her tunes are just. I think she's comparable to Dylan in a lot of ways or Dylan is comparable to her. That they both have so much in a lot of their songs that they're just kind of like overflowing with lyrics. It's not um, it's not a Stooges song with like 30 words total. It's really verbose and just
Hmm.
totally interesting and funny.
Yeah, I mean, it really is end to end brilliant, and most of her songs are.
And I know Courtney tunes in sometimes, maybe, but yeah, I'm just always listening to her guitar playing too. It has its own character to it, and it's really unique. And wow, she shreds. She's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's been a little while since we've been hanging out with Courtney Barnett tunes. Maybe going back to one of our "I'm Gonna Make You Love Me" episodes.
That's right. Yeah.
Great.
And
Well, what?
and and
Yeah,
did I make you love her?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was aware of Courtney Barnett, but you know, we've been hanging out for 20 years. With some kind of blank spots in there, but yeah,
Well,
your enthusiasm
different parts
is
of the country.
it's hard. It is hard. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Your enthusiasm is contagious.
Oh, well, thank you. That's one way I like to be contagious.
Right. Maybe people won't say that as much anymore,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It won't
Yeah.
be such a positive. It's
Yeah.
hard to look at that as a positive word.
Yeah. Maybe I should have said something else, but
Yeah, you couldn't say infectious either, because it's really
yeah, we gotta
going
work
down the
on
same
our
road.
similes and metaphors.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, what else you got? I see some tunes that I don't really know that well.
Okay. Well, the next one on my list, I may be going to skip the order here, or change the order around. I'm gonna go next. Another one of my favorite songwriters, who is always good for a witty and sarcastic, sarcasm tinged line here and there. Paul Westerberg. He was kind of a natural to make this list, and I think early on, humor was just more like, he would go full bore into the humor early on. but it never went away in any way. It just became more of a melting pot of elements. But Treatment Bound is from Hootenanny is one of the songs where it just kind of, just a goof and fun, but also tells the story of the band really, because he was really just describing who they were, and indeed they were treatment bound.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't kidding around with that one.
No, he was not sugarcoating it.
Oh. Yeah, I agree. I think that yeah, sometimes people joke about the things that are like pretty serious.
Yeah,
Oscar Wilde said that.
I
The
would
joke is
say
a very serious thing.
yeah, I would say at that point they probably weren't taking it very seriously, but at least they knew, I guess. At least they, you know, the title of the song, the chorus of the song does imply that they knew that it was a dead end road in some way, but I don't think they were really taking it seriously as a problem at that time.
One of the people that we talk about a lot is Jonathan Richman, and it would be hard to have this topic that we're talking about today without some Jonathan Richman. And yeah, and I present to you Vampire Girl from You Must Ask the Heart, which is totally goofy. And Jonathan Richman is good at writing catchy rock and roll tunes that also have some humor to it. And this one is about how he's kind of like infatuated by, um, kind of like gothy punk rock girls who wear a lot of mascara. And that's the tune for you. It's a breezy tune.
Okay, so I have a Jonathan Richman song on my list too, but I'm gonna save it for the end. I wanted to end off with that. The next song on my list, somebody that we both like a lot, I know. I would say we both love a lot, would be Jarvis Cocker.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I think he's, another, he's got that Sheffield wit, I guess. And yeah, I mean, a great example of that is the song Mile End, which is, was it originally? It was originally for Different Class, right? It didn't make it onto Different Class.
I trust your research, Sean.
Well, I mean, I'm not 100% certain of it, but I do believe that that's the case. But it really just hilariously describes just an awful living condition, awful dwelling, and it pull some lyrics off of that. So now we're living in the sky. I never thought I'd live so high, just like heaven. If it didn't look like hell, the lift is always full of piss. The fifth floor landing smells of fish, not just on Friday, every single other day.
Yeah, okay.
and it's just great. You definitely feel like you're in that place.
Yeah, I first got to know this tune from Trainspotting,
Yeah, it was in Trainspotting.
and I think it's a good summation of the set design.
It's has kind of a subtle place in Trainspotting, but if you know the song, like if you heard the soundtrack or you heard the song before, you know it when it's there, and you know who it is. Yeah, it does fit the moment in the movie as well.
Yeah, right on. I love that tune, and another one that I don't think I've heard for quite a while. Well, one one person that I wanted to talk about is Frank Black, and also
Also known as Black Francis.
and also known as Charles Michael Kitteridge Thompson. I think the
The
fourth,
third? I
third.
think the third.
Anyway, I think especially when Pixies break up and then uh, he does his solo thing. Yeah, there's a lot of like the absurdism that is maybe like more edgy and cool in Pixies, but comes out in his solo stuff for sure. And one of my favorite tunes from just a really great album called Teenager of the Year is Whatever Happened to Pong. And it's a song that isn't about anything really other than, you know, my brother and me used to play it down at the bar, taking money from people who were used to playing cards.
Yeah, and by the way, because not everybody is going to know, Pong was a very early video game that was very low tech.
Yeah, it's like table tennis, but just
But
it
a video game.
like even lower tech than like Tetris, if
Yeah.
you youngsters, if that makes sense to you.
So one paddle would be just like a rectangle that would move up and down the screen. And then there was like a little dot that was the ball, and then another rectangle on the other side, and then there was the broken line that divides the board, or is that what you call it? You call it a ping pong board, right?
Uh, yeah, the field of play.
Yeah, the pitch. Um, yeah, and it was super low tech, black and white.
Yeah, 8-bit sound. But yeah, that's one of the many things I like about Frank Black solo albums, especially, is that like that can be the entire topic of the song is about that like one little kind of like fragment of a reminiscence about a video game called Pong, and I love it. I mean, even the album is called Teenager of the Year, and if you know anything about Frank Black or the Pixies, he's been a very rotund man since about like 1986, and then lost all of his hair. So he's obviously not a teenager. Uh, so I mean, it's already funny, like before you
Yeah.
even
Well,
put the album on, right?
yeah, and then you have the cover art to go along with the
Yeah,
title.
yeah. He's like crowned as Teenager of the Year, holding some flowers. Love it.
Yeah, great album too. A lot of great tracks on that. Okay, so my penultimate song. This is where this is definitely an example of where it can be very funny, but also very sad at the same time. So this is that's just the way that I feel from Purple Mountains. David Berman, who might be, well, I would say definitely most well known for Silver Jews. Have to give a shout out to Rudy for sending me recently a Silver Jews T-shirt that he got long ago at a concert.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
thank
props to
you.
Rudy. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you again for that, Rudy. And he's somebody that we both love a lot. His last album was the Purple Mountains album, and I don't want to go into how things ended for David Berman right now, but it was very sad. And the lyrics of the album, when you really dig into the album, to the lyrics, they do tell the story of what was going on with him, and it is very sad. But the way that he delivers the lyrics, the way that he, his wordplay is also very funny. I'll just give you some examples. Of course, I've been humbled by the void. Much of my faith has been destroyed. I've been forced to watch my foes enjoy ceaseless feasts of Schadenfreude. And as the pace of life keeps quickening beneath the bitching and the bickering, when I try to drown my thoughts in gin, I find my worst ideas know how to swim. I mean, one, that's just outstanding poetry. He was just one of the best lyricists. For a lot of you, he's probably the best lyricist you've never heard of. But if you have heard of him, you're consider yourself fortunate. But yeah, I mean, just so many great. This is just a great album. It was his long-awaited comeback, I think, after 12 years away. And I should also point out that the song here mentions Des Moines, so that doesn't come up very often.
No, and it's such a, you know, I was listening to a Richard Thompson interview lately, and he mentions that when he began writing songs, he had like this deep envy for anyone American or anything American. And the example that he said was like, take the word Cadillac or, the actual car. Like the minute you put that in a title, it's automatically interesting, and kind of nostalgic, but kind of sexy too. And yeah, more people should write about Des Moines because I don't, it just flows off the tongue,
Yeah, right. But yeah, can't recommend the Purple Mountains album enough. It was one of my top 5 for the decade, and came out, at the end of the last decade. But
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean the thing about it is if you just pull the lyrics out, they're kind of tough. But the way that he does it, it was also just very, very funny, and tragic at the same time.
I don't think that we can really have this radio show without this topic without mentioning Robyn Hitchcock,
Okay,
who
let's do that.
is absurd and just a great pop singer, songwriter kind of guy, and really compelling live. I think the last time I saw him, he had a really long monologue about he's got a cat. His cat's name is Tubbs, and his cat only has one eye. But if you were to ask Robyn Hitchcock about Tubbs in that situation, he would tell you that aside from being a house cat, he's also personally responsible for delivering Brian Ferry's hair cream to him every evening before shows. So I think the absurdism and the humor of Robyn Hitchcock is just like that's just who he is, right? And it comes through in his tunes. And I think if you were a priest, aside from being just like a rocking tune from his album Element of Light, is just a great summation of that. Like you can have a killer tune and have it be about kind of this weird, absurd private school, maybe informed revenge fantasy about nuns and priests and kind of a little less on the nose than some of the kind of similar Smiths tunes. So yeah, I would submit to you Robyn Hitchcock.
Okay, all right. So yeah, my last song, I wanted to save this song for last because to me, nothing there. I don't know that there's anything in the world, period, that makes me laugh as hard as this one does. And I don't mean just music. I mean like maybe anything ever. But yeah, the aforementioned Jonathan Richman.
Jojo.
Yeah, I I almost said this is from the album Modern Lovers, but it isn't. It didn't make it onto the album Modern Lovers.
No, really?
Yeah. So, which is a crime. But it's hard to argue with the rest of the stuff that did make it. But the song is "I'm Straight," which is so a little bonus track, a CD bonus track when this was released on CD, and it's not as much about the lyrics, but the whole premise of the song and the way it's carried out, and yeah, the delivery. Jonathan Richman has just a spot on delivery.
Right. And for our listeners, at the time, when was this recorded? Like 75?
So yeah, 70. Yeah, something like that. 70. It was released in 76. I think maybe it was recorded 74, 75.
Right. So I think a lot of our listeners might think like I'm straight is about like gender, sexual preference or something like that.
Right.
But at the time in the vernacular, I'm straight is like someone that doesn't do drugs or, drink.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and so what the song, the premise of the song is that he's calling a girl that a lot of Jonathan Richman songs are about trying to get the girl and pretty much never succeeding. This is one of those, but all of them have their own merits. And but the premise is that he's calling the girl up uh, because she's interested in a guy known as Hippie Johnny.
Hippie Johnny.
and the reason why she should dump Hippie Johnny and get with him is because he doesn't need any drugs. He doesn't use that. He's clean. He's straight. And but just the beginning of the song itself is just enough, where he's just setting up the call. Like, I've called this number 3 times today, but I got scared and I put the phone back in place. Like he starts the conversation by saying, "I've tried to call you 3 times today, but I got nervous and I couldn't do it." It's just, you got to listen to the song. I can't do it justice. It's brilliant.
You're
It's
doing
absolutely
great. Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah. It's the JoJo never-ending quest for the girl that's gonna rebuff him. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. But just about every Jonathan Richman song is hilarious. But by the way, 71, 72, and 73 is when the Modern Lovers tracks were recorded and then released in 76. One of the best albums ever. Even if this track didn't make it onto the album, it's still one of the best albums ever. And if it would have made the album, it might be the best album ever made.
Huh. Yeah, it's super. And we talked a lot about Iggy Pop last week and about his role in creating punk rock pretty much. But yeah, Modern Lovers play a huge part in that too.
Hmm. Yeah, and I don't know. I think we did the Lust for Life episode last week, proclaiming that as a classic. Maybe this could be in that bunch. I don't know. Just my feeling.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
just my
definitely
feeling.
get around to that. But yeah, good way to end the topic. I've got a bunch more tunes, but like we mentioned at the top of the show, we really want you to hear these playlists that correspond to our show. And the way that you can do that is you can search for LOTD Pod on Spotify. We've made these playlists public, so go check them out. They're fun jams, and I think you'll like them. Maybe you'll hear a band that you don't know very well, like Incredible String Band or something. Well, Sean, thanks for pushing me in this direction. This is, I've been listening to a lot of like really like kind of dusty classical music and like really, really somber stuff. So it was good to kind of get my head out of the game and and try and find some tunes that kind of fit the topic. So yeah, thank you, Sean.
Yeah, no problem. That's what I'm here to do, I think.
Great. Well, do you want to tell our listeners about what we're up to in our next installment of Left of the Dial podcast?
Yeah, well, I believe we have, not that this snuck up on anybody, but we have yet to do a Radiohead show, and fully conscious of that. Just hasn't, a lot of bands I think we both love haven't come up yet. So it's Radiohead's turn.
All right.
It really has been for a while. It just hasn't. What are you going to do? There's just so much to talk about. But yeah, we're going to do a Radiohead deep dive next week.
That's right. So we're going to highlight a lot of the tunes that we consider deep cuts. So it'll be really fun. Radiohead continues to be just a really weird, awesome band that I can't get enough of. So if you don't know the band or you do know the band, I think everyone is going to get something out of show number 83.
Yeah. So be here for that one.
Yeah, you got to be here for that one. Yeah.
You don't have to, but it's not mandatory.
Well, okay,
But,
I see.
you
You're
know,
gonna be the good cop.
if you feel
I'm gonna be the bad
compelled,
cop. Yeah.
yeah, if you feel compelled, join us.
Yes, please. We'd love to see you there. And so yeah, this has been really fun. This has been a fun show, and we'll line up some fun Radiohead tunes for you next week. And Sean, it's always a pleasure to hang out and talk about music.
Yeah, we'll do it again next week.
Okay, well, I'm signing off here from Oakland, California. We'll see you when you see you.
See you when you see ya.